Hi, second graders. I'm back again to read more from The Magic Trap. Hope you enjoy it. I was thinking about who's at the door. Remember, Jesse got so excited yesterday? Let's find out. Evan heard Jesse clomp downstairs to answer the door. If it was Peggy, he could just stay in his room. It wasn't that he really didn't like her, it's just that he felt as if he was getting a little too old to have a babysitter. In 3 months, he was going to be 11. That was old enough to be a babysitter. In fact, sometimes the neighbor paid Evan to watch her two little boys while she did housework and made important phone calls. She knew Evan could be counted on to keep the boys safe. Evan flipped to the section of the book that explained how to do sleight of hand tricks. There were 7 basic techniques for sleight of hand, and Evan wanted to master them all: the palm, the ditch, the steal, the load, the simulation, the misdirection, and the switch. Today he was going to work on the palm. It was a technique that fooled the audience into thinking that your hand was empty when really you were holding something. There were 2 ways to palm something: the finger palm and the classic palm. Here they show pictures of the finger palm and the classic palm. He could do the finger palm, no problem, but it was the classic palm that gave a better show. With the classic palm, you had to squeeze the muscles in your hand in just the right way so that your palm held the coin or the ball or whatever you were hiding, while making your hand look completely relaxed. It was hard. Evan spit on his hands and then rubbed them together. He pulled out the quarter from his pocket and held it in his left palm. He waved his hand in a flourish. The quarter fell out and onto the floor. He picked it up and tried again. He didn't mind practicing. You had to practice if you wanted to be good. Evan had always loved watching magic acts, but until his grandmother gave him a magic trick for Christmas, he had never thought about performing magic himself. As soon as he learned a few tricks and discovered that he was pretty good, actually a natural, he had been hooked. Every time he mastered one skill, he couldn't wait to jump to the next. Each skill was harder than the last, and pretty soon he was performing tricks that left Jesse and his mom asking, "How did you do that?" And magic was a lot like basketball. In basketball, you had to move fast, you had to think fast, and you had to drill over and over so that the muscles knew what to do before your brain even gave a command. And you had to know how to fake or misdirect your opponent so that you could perform magic on the court. In Evan's mind, basketball and magic were almost the same thing. There was a feeling he got when he sank a shot, the way the ball left his fingertips, sailing through the air, and then fell through the basket with barely a whisper. It made him feel as if everything was in its proper place. Everything in the whole world was right where it belonged. Performing a magic trick perfectly made him feel the same way. Evan heard the doorbell ring a second time and then the loud screech of the front door opening. Jesse shouted something, but Evan couldn't hear what. A minute later his mom knocked on his door and came in. "That must be Peggy," said Mrs. Tresky, "but I don't know why she's here so early. Maybe she thought there was going to be traffic on the drive. Can you please help me close my suitcase?" "Sure," said Evan, putting the quarter back in his pocket and following his mom. "Wow," he said when he walked into her bedroom. "I didn't hear the bomb go off." The drawers of her dresser were hanging open, and clothes were draped all over the bed, the chair, and even on the floor. There was a pile of books and magazines on her night table that looked as if they were ready to topple over. And at the foot of the bed there was a small mountain of shoes. "Yeah, I had trouble deciding what to take, and I still can't close my suitcase." There was something in her voice that made Evan sound nervous. That made him put on his grown-up voice. "Relax, Mom. It's not like you're going to the moon." "Try to zip while I squeeze," she said, pushing down on the purple suitcase. "It feels like I am, though. It feels like I'm going all the way to the moon." One of Mrs. Tresky's clients had asked her to attend an important conference in California so that she could write materials for a new product that they were introducing. So now we know Mom's leaving for work. That's why she's going to be gone for a week. Evan didn't even know what the product was, some kind of software. Mrs. Tresky had lots of clients, and Evan couldn't keep them all straight. But this client was very big and very important. At first, she had said no, explaining that she couldn't possibly leave her children for 3 whole days. "Family comes first," she had said to Evan and Jesse, which was pretty much her #1 motto in life. But the client had offered to pay her big money to do the job, and there were some serious repairs that needed to be done in their old house. So after a lot of thinking, she had finally agreed to go. It was Evan who had convinced his mom that she could stay an extra couple days and have a little vacation and see the sights, meet up with an old friend who lived in San Francisco, and have some fun. "You never go anywhere, Mom," he had said to her. "You never have any fun." She looked at him strangely. "I have fun," she said. "I have fun all the time." "Not grown-up fun," said Evan. "You just have fun with me and Jesse." "I like you and Jesse," she said, laughing, but also messing up his hair, as if she wanted this conversation to end. "Parents need to go off by themselves sometimes," he had said, repeating something that Megan had said to him. Easy for her to say. Her parents were married, and they seemed to have plenty of money, at least more than the Trustees did. Somehow he had convinced her. If she had to fly all the way to California for business, she might as well stay some extra days and have some fun. But now that the suitcase wouldn't close and the room looked like it had suffered an alien invasion, and there were reports of a tropical storm developing in the Caribbean that could move up the East Coast later in the week, making airplane travel difficult, Mrs. Tresky was obviously having second thoughts. "Maybe I should cancel this whole thing," she said, pressing all her weight on the top of her suitcase. No matter how hard she pushed, Evan couldn't get the zipper to close. "No," he said, tugging with all his might on the zipper. "You can't cancel now. Peggy's already here, and Grandma's with the Uptons, and even Jessie has stopped squawking about it. You have to go. Just take something out," he said, pointing at the suitcase. There was a loud chattering on the stairs, and then Jessie pounded into the room. "You have to see! You have to see! You have to see!" she screamed, grabbing her mother's hand and pulling her towards the door. "Jessie, Jessie, slow down! What's going on?" Mrs. Tresky allowed herself to be pulled out of the room. Evan paused, staring at the suitcase, wondering if he should open it and take out something while his mother wasn't looking. There was no telling what Jessie was so excited about. Sometimes it was something small that set her off, so maybe Peggy had brought a surprise for her. Maybe she had brought her cat, even though Jessie was allergic. Oh, brother. That would throw a monkey wrench in the whole plan. His mother was never going to make it out of the house. Evan heard his mother say something, and then there was a laugh. A man's laugh? A loud, booming man's laugh. Evan felt a wave wash over him. It seemed to swell up through his stomach, drain the saliva out of his mouth, and crash down into his toes. He took a deep breath, pushed himself onto his feet, and headed down the stairs. By the time he reached the first floor and rounded the corner into the front hall, he knew what he could see, or he knew what he would see, but he still couldn't believe his eyes. Who is it? We'll continue. Bye.